Okay, this time this thing is really on. Okay, so let's discuss firstly what is the definition of freedom. Freedom applies to everyone individually and personally. We can see that because everybody have different experiences, different goals, and different memories, so therefore what they want would also be different. And so therefore their freedom to do something they want would also be different. Freedom of choice is when you get to freely choose what to do, what you get to decide how to behave. And so how to behave actually applies to your own personal memories and your own targets and everything like that, experiences. Yeah, so it basically applies to everybody individually. For example, for parents, it may be traveling to Hawaii and enjoying their vacation.
Woo!
To children, however, it may be eating sweets until they experience captivity.
So nice.
But wait a second. Is there any benefits or drawbacks of freedom? What is the ethics of freedom anyway? Why does it exist in the first place? What is the benefit of freedom? Freedom is perhaps a little bit controversial. I think freedom have a lot of ethical benefits. For example, freedom enables you to, think of new methods and be more creative because your mindset is already free, already really innovative because no one can stop your creativity. So therefore, you will tend to think of more innovations and methods. Will this help our industry and our nations and everything? This will actually help a lot because freedom enables people to think more freely and, more innovative. I think freedom enables people to think of more methods and there's like no limits in their mindset and so they will be more freely in innovating new methods and solutions and basically they can think of anything using freedom. I think liberty should be limited. Why? Because liberty or freedom here we are talking about is good of freedom. It's all the benefits, all the advantages, and everything that freedom brings to us. However, we never really consider the drawbacks that it can bring. So that's why I believe we should actually limit freedom. We are only considering the beneficial part of freedom. We are not considering the disadvantaged part of liberty. So shouldn't we limit it and to be able to actually make the most of the beneficial part? So let me tell you of the disadvantage part. So too much freedom makes people too free. Why is this a problem? Because when you are free, you tend to do whatever you want. That is the terms of freedom. However, whatever you want can actually includes like, dark and horror curiosity. So for example, you actually want to kill someone to experience how it feels like, and you argue to the judge that it is not their problem. It's your freedom to do whatever you want. And what you want to do is murdering everybody else. So isn't that a bad circumstance? I think freedom should be limited and people should be taught to know what they are allowed to do, what is in their freedom and what is not in their freedom. For example, if you kill someone because you said it's your freedom, it's also their freedom to live. It's their freedom to enjoy every day of their life. Why did you kill them? Isn't that wrong? It's also their freedom to live and experience and live their own life. If you kill them or if you done anything to them, aren't you violating their liberty? Aren't you violating their freedom? However, you will argue that it's your freedom, so you get a choice. See? There can be a conflict if everybody have too much rights, too much liberty, too much freedom. It will happens like conflicts will happen like what I've told you. Freedom should be limited. I think so. Personally, I think so. Because basically there will be a lot of conflicts because people will have a lot of freedom that will, conflict each other and basically they look at each other in contrast. They are opposite. They have conflicts because everybody have diverse ways of satisfying themselves, and sometimes the way are way too hard for us, and I know there will be conflicts. So that's why I believe that really there can be drawbacks if you don't limit freedom. Freedom is a good thing. However, people shouldn't learn to, you know, cope with it and basically making the most of it in a harder way. You use it. You basically use it to deceive people, to do wrongdoings. That is not what freedom recommended. It is not what freedom exists for.